This is the Ktaxon K170 guitar that I purchased as a kit from Amazon for $60. And it looks good, it feels good, and it sounds good. So over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to walk through how I assembled this. So let's get to it. The body is solid and cleanly routed. I did see a review that claimed that part of it might be presswood, but I don't see any indication of that. The neck looks really well crafted, although I might need to round off the frets down the road. I did inventory the parts and everything's there as far as I can see. The first step was to install the machine heads, which were all the same size, so that made things kind of easy. I'm just hand tightening these nuts for now, just to hold it in place until I get the set screws put in the back. The holes for the set screws were pre-drilled, so I didn't have to worry about positioning the machine heads exactly, let alone having to drill the holes myself. So here I'm going back and tightening down the nuts with a 10mm socket, making sure it's snug but not overly tightened. Joining the neck to the body was really straightforward. The fit is really snug, and the holes are all pre-drilled, so I didn't have to worry about possibly putting on the neck skewed or anything. It was just a matter of tightening down these four bolts in the back. We do want these screws to be snug, but not overly tightened since we're screwing into wood and we don't want to strip the wood grain. The next step is to install the pickups. The dual coil with the red wire is the bridge pickup, and the one with the yellow is the neck pickup. The orientation also matters. The corner of the pickup from where the wire protrudes should be closest to the controls. Same with the middle pickup. The middle pickup has a foam block that elevates it. It sticks to the pickup with some double-sided tape that is already adhered to the foam. The pickup does also come with a protective plastic cover, which in this video clip I forgot to include when installing, but I did install it later. Springs are included with the screws to ensure that the pickup height will adjust when the screws are turned. You just need to be sure to include them before driving the screws into the pre-tapped or pre-drilled holes. The final step is just to screw the mounting rings of the pickups onto the body. Next, we install the bridge. I wasn't too sure what height to set these 6 screws to when first installing the bridge. I initially just screwed them in, leaving about 3 or 4 millimeters of play, figuring I can make more refined adjustments later. The factory settings for the bridge saddles were obviously way off, so I had no reservations about pulling them back a bit to clear the way for the strings. There were no pre-drilled holes for the spring mounting claw, and I didn't bother to drill any, but the screws pushed through the grain without too much effort. From the inset image, you can see where I basically located the screws, at the bottom corner of the pocket at about a 30-degree angle. It was a very solid fit, and I'm confident the claw isn't going to go anywhere. Here I'm installing the 5-position switch. The end of the switch where the bulk of the wires are soldered should point toward the pickups, away from the input jack. I think the company did a great job of making the electronics as easy as possible to connect. Here my hands are obscuring a lot of the work I did, but this inset image should show you how simple it is. Basically, there are only 5 plug-in connections you need to make. One for each of the 3 pickups, one between the 1/4-inch input jack and volume knob, and one black ground wire between the spring tremolo and the volume knob. For the pickup wires, just be sure to connect red to red and yellow to yellow, shown in the inset as connections 1 and 2. Connection 3 is the one between the middle pickup and switch, 4 is between the input jack and volume knob, and 5 is the one black ground wire between the spring tremolo and the volume knob. Also, keep in mind that the volume knob is the one that doesn't have the little green capacitor attached to it, and should be the one closest to the pickups. The tone knob is the one that has the capacitor, and should be closest to the input jack. The holes for the screws holding the switch have been pre-tapped and pre-drilled, which is nice. Securing the volume and tone knobs is pretty straightforward. At this point, you'd want to test everything by plugging the guitar into your amp and gently tapping the pickups with a screwdriver as you reposition the switch and adjust the volume and tone knobs. Make sure all the components are responding as expected. Now it's time to close up the guitar and attach the accessories. I'm leaving the cover plate for the tremolo assembly off for now, since after I string it up and tune it, I may need to adjust the claw screws a bit. The knobs are just held on by friction. The same with the switch tip. Now, presumably you know how to string up a guitar, so I won't be including a clip showing that. So with that, let's take a quick test drive. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative. I don't make the claim that this plays like a boutique guitar right out of the box. The frets may need some leveling work if you use low action, and the ends could use some rounding off. The grooves in the nut may need to be filed down a little bit, as it tends to ride a little high up at this end, but it's certainly worth the $60. I was really impressed with the fact that the neck in general was straight with just a slight bit of relief, which is typical of what you might expect of a high-end guitar. The pickups in my mind are powerful and have a rich tone to them, so no complaints there. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer any questions you leave there, and be sure to subscribe if you like this video. I could always use the support to keep my channel going. Thanks.